Well, it's Sunday afternoon, and I ordered lunch out today, so I decided I better cook something for dinner. And when this pandemic hit, we just stopped going out to eat and going in a restaurant because my husband's disabled, and I didn't think it was worth the chance, to risk him getting that virus. So anyway, we are like all of y'all, we're just about sick of eating out of takeout boxes. And although I do bring it home and put it out on a plate and use a real fork just so it can kind of seem like we're eating normal. But anyway, today we were just tired of everything, and I knew, it's below 70 degrees, and if it's below 70, my husband's cold, so I knew that he would not be satisfied with a cold sandwich for supper. So I decided I would make chip beef gravy and biscuits for dinner tonight. And I'm frying this bacon because tomorrow I plan to make German potato salad. So I'm frying the bacon for the German potato salad, and I'll use the grease that's left over for our gravy. Well, I'm back, and it's time to make gravy. So this kind of gravy, my mama calls milk gravy. Some people call it sawmill gravy, and some people call it cream gravy. But it's just the drippings from when we fried the bacon, and I've left the drippings in the pan. And that's probably about 1/3 of a cup of grease left in the pan. So I'm gonna take that same amount, or right there about, and of plain flour. Now this needs to be plain flour. Because self-rising flour, you could use it, but it's gonna fizz up when you're cooking it because of the baking soda and the baking powder in it. So I hope you can see that. Let me turn it down where you can see the pan instead of me, which is better anyway. All right, so I've got just that bacon grease and about the same amount of flour in there. Now when you get it all stirred together, just leave it alone and let it cook for a little while. And this is the key to good gravy. This is one of the things I had the hardest time with when I first got married. And it would just turn out pale and look like school paste. So I went to visit Eddie's aunt in Charlotte one day, his Aunt Margaret, who he absolutely loved. I'll put a little bit more flour. And she was making gravy, and I said, well, I just have the hardest time with gravy. I'll just let that sit there on the bottom for a minute. And she said, well, I can just about tell you why your gravy's not turning out with any flavor. And I said, well, please tell me. She said, you're not cooking the flour long enough. She said, you have to toast the flour. And I had never heard anybody say that before. But she said, this is a roux. This is what this is. Fat and flour makes a roux. So she said, if you don't let that flour cook until it loses that raw taste, then you've just got flour and milk. But if you let it sit on the bottom of that pan and toast, and right now I can smell it. I can smell the flour starting to toast. It smells kind of like toast when you make it in the oven. She said the longer you let that flour toast, the better your gravy will be. Now, for those of you who have used a roux in the past, that right there would be considered a blonde roux because it's still light colored. But we're going to let it toast just a little bit longer, and the longer that flour cooks, the darker it'll get. See, each time you stir it up from the bottom, it brings some little brown bits up with it. Wow, that smells good. I wish you could be here to smell it. I'm going to turn my heat up just a little bit so it can toast a little faster. See, that rouge getting a little bit darker now. I wish you could see down in that pan. Let me see if I can get it down where you can see it good. See the brown stuff on the bottom of the pan? That's what we want. All right, and I think that's brown enough. So let me get my camera back down here where you can see it. All right, now I've had my milk sitting out at room temperature for about 10 minutes. And you can heat the milk to pour it in if you want to. But now we're just going to start slowly pouring that milk in. This is 2 cups of milk, but we're going to see if we need any more. So as soon as that milk hits that roux, it starts to thicken. That cold milk hitting that roux is what makes it lump up. Got my biscuits in the oven. So that's where this whisk comes in really handy to get the lumps out. Now if you heated your milk and put it in here, it wouldn't lump up as bad. I'm going to let that sit for just a minute. I'm going to check on my biscuits. No, they're not quite done. Now see, when that gravy starts to boil, it starts to thicken immediately. So I'm going to put about another cup of milk in there. I could make this pan full, but it's just me and Eddie tonight, so I don't see any sense in wasting it. See that gravy's starting to boil, and I'm just stirring it up from the bottom so it doesn't stick. Now I'm not gonna add any salt to this because I'm gonna put chipped beef in mine. If you wanted to leave it just like this and just have cream gravy, you could salt and pepper it to taste right now. But since mine's gonna have chipped beef in it and it's really salty, I am not going to add any salt to mine yet. So turn that heat down just a little bit. Now, gosh, that smells good. And that is our cream gravy. The chipped beef comes in a little jar like this. And all you do is just take it out of the jar and just break it up into pieces and add it to your gravy. Now that chipped beef is already completely cooked and dried, so it doesn't have to cook, but I am gonna cook it long enough so that it'll heat through with the gravy. Gosh. Now I'm going to pour this out into a bowl, and then I'll show you what it looks like. And that is chip beef gravy. And my biscuits like about maybe 4 or 5 more minutes yet. And then we're gonna be ready for dinner. So after 48 years, how's the gravy?
Good.